Let's bring back Newsmax TV political analyst Dick Morris. Dick, of course, the author of Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. So here we are, the aftermath of the Commander-in-Chief Forum. We heard the predictable scorn of the late-night lefties, but how do you think things turned out for Mr. Trump in that encounter?
I think Trump did very well, and I think Hillary looked robotic. She looked like a jukebox. You know, you ask a question and B16 goes off, and she plays the recording that she's the scripted answer. But there's something more significant going on that I want to call attention to that the media is not covering. You mentioned it in your introduction, Hillary, and in the segment just now. Hillary is trying to say that Trump is too close to Putin and trying to make an issue of Trump's relationship with Putin. I think the reason she's doing that is I think she believes that Putin has all of her emails. And the story that surfaced in the media was that Guccifer, the Romanian hacker, who got the emails for Sidney Blumenthal and Hillary, has gotten all of her emails, and that the Russians hacked it off of Guccifer. But however they got it, Hillary believes they have them, just like they had the Democratic National Committee emails and dumped them at the beginning of the convention. And I think Hillary expects an October surprise when the result of did she or did she not compromise classified material resolves itself when the enemy shows up at the door with all 20,000 emails, obviously having hacked them and obtained them. And at that point, it'll be no question of did she endanger national security. It'll be obvious to anyone. And I think that she's trying prophylactically to defuse that moment by saying that Trump is too close to Putin, that Putin wants Trump to win, and to lash back at Putin, quote, intervening in the election. Now, there's one other perspective I want to share. The reason Putin wants to stop Hillary from winning is payback for something that happened in 1996. When I worked for President Clinton, he told me he wanted Boris Yeltsin to be reelected and that should be our major goal. And at the time, he was running against Vladimir Putin's candidate, a guy named Zirandovsky, who was a communist KGB guy. And Clinton intervened heavily in the election in favor of Boris Yeltsin, including getting the Saudis to forgive a debt repayment of $500 million due 6 weeks before Election Day so that Yeltsin could pay his coal miners and his steel workers. And it's a matter of public record that I would bring Yeltsin's polling to the White House, and then Bill would call Yeltsin on the hotline and tell him what ads to run, what scripts to approve, and basically write his speeches. And Yeltsin knew that. Putin knew that. And I think now he's paying Bill Clinton back for stealing, in his view, the 1996 election from his candidate.
Well, let's take some time now and go to the phones. Always interesting perspective from Dick Morris. Let's get the observations from Farmington Hills, Michigan, of Thomas. Thomas, welcome to America Talks Live.
Hi, J.D. Hi, Mr. Morris. 3 quick points. Number one, Allahu Akbar is not a scholar's theological declaration, meaning God is great. It's a terrorist victory proclamation, meaning Allah is the greatest. Number two, how can Hillary say Islam has nothing to do with terrorism? Does she really mean it has nothing to do with true Islam, which of course would also be a lie? Number three, Hillary criticized Trump for not disclosing his plan for combating ISIS. But has Hillary delineated how she's going to combat terrorist ideology online when she won't even identify it as Islam?
Well,
what is she going to say?
Thanks for those very good questions, and I think they're very informative. But I want to spin off from them and talk a little bit about the Manchurian candidate who is about to enter the White House at Hillary's right arm, Huma Abedin. I believe that she is a trained agent of the Islamic militants. I believe that, as a matter of record, that since 1993, ending in 2008, she was the editor of a publication called the Journal of Muslim Minority Affairs, which was aimed at Muslims living in the United States and other Western countries. It was financed by the Foundation for Good, which is an organization that is listed as a terrorist group and that provided much of the funding for al-Qaeda. And Uma's mother wrote an article there saying that 9/11 was brought on by the United States because of our escalating the cycle of violence. That's her quote. And Uma served as the editor of this publication while Hillary was in the Senate on the Armed Services Committee, seeing all of our classified secret information. And since Hillary went to the State Department, I think it's under Uma's influence that she legitimized the Muslim Brotherhood, backed the Morsi regime when it first took over, hired at the Clinton Foundation a guy named al-Haddad, who worked for them for 5 years, who became Morsi's spokesman for the Muslim Brotherhood during his period in power. In fact, while he was Morsi's spokesman and press secretary, he was on the payroll of the Clinton Foundation, having been there for 5 years. And in meeting after meeting, Hillary would intervene to bring in the Muslim Brotherhood, grant them visas, even though they were labeled as a terrorist organization, and lecture Israel about returning to its 1967 borders that were indefensible. In my judgment, those are all Huma Abedin's footprints. And I think that we have a Manchurian candidate about to make it into the White House as an aide to the next president if Hillary wins.
Well, perhaps more accurately, you're saying there is a double agent or a foreign agent. And let's get this very clear, because it is major news in your estimation. Huma Abedin, if Mrs. Clinton is elected, will continue to work for the furtherance of the Muslim Brotherhood and other organizations. Dick, 45 seconds to reinforce those comments if you so choose.
Yes, I think absolutely. I think that the context in which the Huma Abedin issue was raised was before Hillary became a serious candidate for president. And I think that this issue needs to be revisited. When a bunch of congressmen led by Michelle Bachmann, and including, I'm sorry, a number of other congressmen.
Well, yeah, Trent Franks of Arizona, one of my friends, was in on that too. Yeah, go ahead.
They were booted down by John McCain. But I think that was wrong. I think we need to examine Huma Abedin as the Manchurian candidate, trained in Saudi Arabia, where she grew up, brainwashed in the jihadi cult, who is now advising Hillary Clinton.
Well, I think a call has come in. Someone's already reacting to what you have to say, Dick Morris, and our time is just about up, but you certainly have given us food for thought. Dick Morris enjoying the relative tranquility of suburbia amidst the phone calls and the dogs and the birds singing. Dick, of course, the author of Armageddon, How Trump Can Beat Hillary. And on this weekend, when we confront the 15th anniversary of 9/11, there are certainly some alarming stories, including illegal immigration. Michael Cutler rejoins us on that topic when we continue.